So it's less to do about what they're actually going to do with the sword. What sword, you may ask?
Yeah, yeah.
It's what happens afterwards.
Okay.
So basically, like the last time that we had, or Azeroth had a wound of this size,
Mm-hmm.
obviously this one's pretty much even larger. It was Yasharj when Amanthul like ripped him out.
Mm.
And obviously, in order to deal with that, they created the Well of Eternity.
Yeah.
So in this case, whether or not you like how they actually like plug it up
Mm-hmm.
or like what's going to happen with it, do you think that going forward, Silithus might become either a place of power,
Mm-hmm.
where it might be like another Well of Eternity, or do you think that it's just going to become more dangerous, where it might be a gateway to some place that
Yeah.
a new threat comes from?
All right. So there's two options here. One theory that is out there on Discord is the seed the Elune gave to Tyrande, right? The Winter Queen gave it to
Yeah.
Tyrande, but Elune made it, right? The Tear of Elune, that seed is actually going to be used on the sword. So the sword is going to become part of the new world tree. So that's a theory.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The tree would literally then feed on the sort of Azerite essence of Azeroth, as it were, to turn it into the new world tree. That is definitely one way of dealing with the sword. A weird way, to be fair, but it is one way to deal with the sword. The other way, it's actually something we discussed again yesterday during the Patreon stream. Someone made a very good point. What we should have is the Cenarian Circle, the Druids, the Shamans, the Earthen Ring, the Cenarian Circle, the Cenarian Expedition. All of them should be in Silithus right now, trying to figure out a way to remove the sword in its entirety. And we should get some world quests and some dailies and stuff that sort of pushes that narrative, right? We're trying to figure out how to get rid of the sword. As for the next part of my theory, so if we say, well, actually it doesn't make much sense that Tyrande plants the seed there and the world tree becomes the sword.
Right.
As for the next part of my theory, I suggested, what if Tyrande planted the seed in Ungoro Crater? We already know that there is a world tree in Ungoro Crater on the side of the Emerald Dream.
Oh, interesting.
So if you put a physical tree on the side of Azeroth, in the exact location of the tree on the Dream side, do you now create some sort of merger between the Dream and reality? So a place where the Dream and reality becomes the same thing, and Ungoro Crater would have that power. Now, to your question, what happens after the sword? Because both of these, by the way, would deal with the sword in different ways. So with the tree being right next to the sword, the tree will have the ability. So if the tree is in Ungoro Crater, the tree would have the ability to heal the wound that is right next to it, right? Because that tree is almost certainly going to spawn roots all over the place. So those roots could heal that wound. If we remove the tree element of the theory and we just look at the sword, it would be inconceivable that Silithus does not turn into the next Well of Eternity.
Yeah.
It would be inconceivable. Because
I mean, because even if they got rid of the sword, in my opinion, they would have to do something to literally physically block, like put a stopper in that hole.
yeah.
Because otherwise, any enemy has a straight shot straight to the heart of Azeroth, which is
Yeah.
more dangerous in and of itself.
I mean, there's a number of things that creates an issue here. As one of my mods, Apocalypse, you guys know him, said yesterday while we were talking about this, they mentioned the Well of Eternity, the original Well of Eternity, right? A lot of magic, this is what we're told, right? We're told that the Titans used magic on the well, on that wound, right, in order to stabilize it. The problem, right, is if you're not using, if we don't know what magic they used, we have no idea how they stabilized the original Well of Eternity. So if anything you do there, be it remove the sword, be it leave the sword, how do you stabilize it? Because right now the only thing that we have is the sword is plugging the hole. Once you remove the sword, the hole is open now. And we know that before the Titans took over, it was bleeding to the point where it would have killed Azeroth. If it wasn't for the Titans and whatever fucking magic they used there, it would have been done and dusted. So...
I mean, do you think that that's something that we might learn in Dragonflight, where we help the dragons uncover what type of magic that was in order to... Because, you know, it might be that, you know, Azeroth is only in a semi-awoken state because the sword is still there. And she can't heal properly. Because it's not even that it's just physical, it's a sword made of pure hatred. And that, you know, malice might be, you know, corrupting her primary functions or whatever.
It's entirely possible, yes. It is possible that Dragonflight will give us some of those answers. If I'm correct, then the forge on the Dragon Isles is either the first forge that the Titans have built, and if not the first, then definitely the most important one. Because why else hide the Isles? I keep coming back to it. Yes, the Isles are the places of power of the Dragonflight, but if you're going to talk about important places of Azeroth, there are far more important places on Azeroth that should have been hidden away, right? You could have hidden, for example, the Well of Eternity. You could hide that away and it would be fine. They could have hid away all of the old gods. So rather than just imprison them, they could have hidden them away. But they chose to hide away the Dragon Isles. So something special exists within the Dragon Isles. And I think it's this forge, perhaps the first or the prime forge of Azeroth. And if there's ever going to be information about how the Titans managed to stabilize the Well of Eternity, how the Titans managed to imprison the old gods, it is going to be found in that forge, right? In that Titan facility. The question is that going to be a raid or a dungeon?
Oh. Well, either way, we're going to have to, you know, get a pug together in order to figure out the story, so...
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately. But, yeah, no, because I was wondering whether or not, if you are correct about that forge, you know, could it have been the actual, like, primary control for the powers that stabilize the Well of Eternity, like, directly?
So you're actually thinking that the forge there is the thing that stabilized it?
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Like,
it's close enough.
Power in someone's hands. Yeah, it would be, because I mean, you know, we don't necessarily know how things fit together, you know, before the shattering. So it's like,
yeah, you
know, it's like, what are we going to?
I mean,
we can't put it back together to figure out everything, but.
But even if we just did a loose sort of, if we just place them loosely against each other, the Dragon Isles is very close to the Well of Eternity. You know, because Northrend basically almost slots against it, and then the Dragon Isles should have slotted against Northrend. So yeah, it should have been more than close enough to create a facility that directly stabilizes the Well of Eternity. The reason they probably wouldn't have put it on Northrend, which is the only other place that would have been closer, is because there's an old god there. The last thing you need is a fucking old god next to the forge that you need to kind of keep, Azeroth from bleeding out. If, of course, that's what the forges do. I'm still not convinced that that is what they do, but if it is what they do, then it would make sense that they have that forge there for that specific reason.
Yeah, the only other thing that I could think of is that kind of like in the Halo series where the forge that's on the Dragon Isles, like you said before, is like it's like the arc that controls all the rings.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like the forge of all forges that, you know, connects everything, you know, but
Yeah.
still could be directly tied to that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
The
really
prime
interesting. I'm
forge
curious
of
what
it
they
all.
bring in. Yeah, exactly.
All right. I really appreciate the questions, man. It was a
Hey,
lot of fun to
absolutely.
answer them.
No, for sure. And I'm really looking forward to the video so I can hear more of your opinions.
All right. Thank you very much, dude. Take care of
Thanks,
yourself.
man. Talk to you
Peace
later.
out,
You
man.
too.
Bye.
All right, bye.